what keys did you give the new tenant? I screamed. I don't know. What's wrong? Mom, did you give that psycho the key to the barn? No, Gary gave him the keys, but I told him to make sure he took the barn key off. What's going on? She fretted, but I didn't have time to answer. I hung up and dialed my Uncle Gary to ask him the same question. The pounding stopped. There was long vibration, followed by a fumbling sound emanating from the kitchen. As the sound stopped, the dial tone pierced my ears. I crept towards the kitchen and like a scene from the most horrific slasher, my Uncle Gary stood, gripping a knife covered in blood. I shot to the front door and unbolted it, but before I had chance to escape, I felt my hair being pulled back. I tried swinging the bat, but Gary just tore it out of my hands and tossed it to the ground before throwing me down. I panicked, thinking surely my fate was sealed, but then the door swung open. My neighbor stood in the doorway with the sun beaming behind him, illuminating him like a knight in shining armor. Reacting quickly, he picked up the discarded bat. Gary moved towards him, but he avoided the attack, stepping to the side and swiftly striking Gary in the temple. As my uncle fell down, my new hero grabbed me by the hand, and this time, it was welcomed. He pulled me up and we both ran to the farmhouse. My neighbor called the police as I kept watch. They responded a lot faster than I was expecting, probably because half the world was on lockdown. From the window, I could see the red and blue lights reflecting off the water on the ground, but the police just stood at its border, too scared to get wet. It wasn't long after that my uncle emerged from the barn looking defeated. With his arms in the air, he began wading through the flood towards them, handing himself over. I'll be honest, I almost felt sorry for him. Looking back, I don't think he actually intended to hurt me, but with the state he was in, who knows what would have happened if my neighbor wasn't there. He was sentenced to 1 year for battery and is now back living with my cousin, who I still keep in contact with. We have a restraining order on my Uncle Gary, but I do see him occasionally drifting through the background when I'm on Zoom with my cousin. He's apparently quit drinking and has gotten his life back on track, but I'm still not ready to forgive him just yet. Maybe one day I will. It's quite hard to blame him entirely. Grief can turn people into animals.